Hi there everyone! Welcome back to my channel, English with Catherine. Today I'm going to be giving you a wee introduction to the Scottish accent. Now just to be clear, there are many different accents in Scotland. Many different dialects. Today's video is just about a generally Scottish accent, one that we recognise as being from Scotland. Beautiful Scotland. What is the purpose of this video? Well, it's to help you understand films and series more that have Scottish actors or actors speaking in a Scottish accent. It will also help you understand people if you come to the UK and you visit Scotland. And it will be great just for your research into UK accents. Let's get started. Now guys, even though it's called the UK, the United Kingdom, each kingdom that is united is very different. In Scotland, they have a completely different culture, really, to England. They have a different language, they have different dialects, a different accent. All the kingdoms are also different in terms of how they look. Some of them are much wilder than others. Some of them are a lot more remote with less people. For example, Wales. But Scotland is like a wilder version of England. Everything's a bit more rugged, a bit harsher, and a bit riskier. Their cows make our cows look pathetic, and their squirrels are like a far more jazzy version than ours. It's like England on steroids. It's greener, it's wilder. In fact, it's greener than green can actually get. But this sometimes doesn't work in its favour. Their winters are a lot more extreme than ours. Their rain is a lot crazier, I'm sorry, but it is. The weather in general is a lot more treacherous up there and exciting. And while the English are sipping sherry from little crystal glasses, the Scots are warming their cockles with the peatiest, most strongest single malt whiskey. While we're eating our black pudding, they've taken it one step further and they've invented haggis, which is the ultimate treat for carnivores. So delicious. And while us English are hiking up our moderate to faring sized hills, the Scots are scaling mountains and enjoying every second of it. As I said before, Scotland has many different accents, but they also have lots of different dialects. If you visit certain parts of Scotland, you may struggle to understand what they're saying, because they're not speaking in English. They've got all these gorgeous dialect words and expressions. In this video, I'm going to just focus on the sounds in the accent rather than the dialect, but I am going to touch a little on the dialect later on in the video. Sound number one, the tapped R. It's a rhotic accent, which means they pronounce their R's. A tapped R is actually quite a strong R, almost a rolled R. For example, the colour purple, which is the lovely colour of the heather that grows on the mountains, is pronounced purple, purple. In some parts of Scotland they don't roll the R, they just will say purple, purple. That's more in Edinburgh. They have a softer accent in Edinburgh, but that R is definitely there. It's either rolled once or it's very much pronounced. The R on the end of heather, in the modern R.P accent we say heather, because ER endings tend to be a schwa, but in the Scottish accent they say heather, heather. They don't use a tapped R usually if it's on the end of the word, it's usually if it's in the middle. But that R sound is very prominent and I think it's beautiful. The short O in the modern RP accent, for example in the word Scottish, is more of a O sound. So listen, Scottish, Scottish, Scottish. It's like an O, it's elongating that vowel sound. In fact, what I've noticed is that where we have a short vowel, they do the opposite. So they have the opposite sound to whatever we're doing down south. Interesting. For example, the short O in gone turns to gone. It's not oh, it's o. Very different. The ow sound in modern RP found in words like house and round. So that ow sound turns to oo in the Scottish accent. So instead of house, they say hoose, hoose. And there's a famous saying which is, there's a moose loose aboot this hoose. So about and house have turned to aboot and hoose. Love it. You know we have that alphabet O that I talk about in the modern RP accent, which makes it sound quite, I don't want to say posh, but O. For example, in show and only and below. Well, in the Scottish accent, they don't have this sound. It changes to O, O. Now that's a really hard sound to try to teach. It's like saying, oh my God. It's that sound, oh. So instead of show, they say show, show. It's very different. Something else I noticed is the short E in modern RP found in the word head, head, turns to E, heed, heed. Use your heed. Use your head. Use your head would mean use your head. And that's something they very often say. The dog is kind of bark howling again. Every time. He sounds like a crazy wolf on the moors of Scotland. The dialect. I have to just say to you that even I struggle to understand people from Scotland in certain rural areas. I'm just going to guess that maybe you wouldn't stand a chance either. I'm going to teach you these lovely words that seem to be in use throughout Scotland, general Scottish dialect words, and I absolutely love them. Bonny. A bonny lass, for example, is a beautiful woman. A lass is a woman, so they would say, isn't she bonny? Don't forget the short O in bonny in modern R.P. changes to or. Okay, so bonny is more like that. Bonny lass. Neeps and tatties. The cutest name for a dish ever. So this is a traditional accompaniment to haggis. Neeps and tatties is Swedes. So neeps refers to the swede vegetable, and tatties, well, of course, that's potato. It's so tasty. If you ever go to Scotland, you have to order it. Wee, of course, you probably know that is small or little. A wee bairn, and bairn or bern. So again, I'm tapping my R, or I'm just really pronouncing the R. That means baby. So a wee bairn is a little baby. I'm going to read out some sentences now. I'm going to read them out in modern RP, and then I'm going to read them out with a Scottish accent so that you can see the difference. Wish me luck. Oh, I regret doing this. Number 1, with modern RP. My favourite Scottish dish is a soup called Cullen skink. Cullen skink in Scottish. My favourite Scottish dish is a soup called Cullen skink. It's a Scottish soup that they have in the coldest parts of Scotland, and it really warms you up. I really recommend it. Number 2, in modern RP. The Scottish hills are covered in heather. In Scottish, the Scottish hills are covered in heather. The Scottish hills are covered in heather. The thistle is the national flower of Scotland, in case you didn't know that. In Scottish, the thistle is the national flower of Scotland. Yes, okay, you don't have to tell me, I am absolutely terrible at that. I've got a kind of Scottish vibe to that, but it's not quite there. I can definitely say after doing some of these accent videos that this one is definitely the hardest. It's such a beautiful accent and yet so elusive, so difficult to master. But some actors have really managed to master it. For example, Johnny Lee Miller in the film Trainspotting. Absolute classic film. He really managed to deliver an amazing kind of Edinburgh Scottish accent in that film. Emma Thompson's Scottish accent in the film Brave is also really good. Or you could listen to an interview with one of my favourite actors of all time, which is Ewan McGregor, or Sean Connery, of course, an absolute legend. Scotland is so worth visiting if you come to the UK, especially Edinburgh, which is one of my favourite cities in the world. Probably is actually my number 1 favourite city. If I had to choose a city, it would be Edinburgh. I hope you enjoyed my video, guys. I hope it's shed some light on some of the Scottish accent sounds. Hopefully now you might know what's going on when you hear a Scottish accent and think, oh yeah, I remember the vowels changing. What was Catherine going on about? Thank you so much for watching till the end if you're still here. Hi! Leave a comment down below and tell me what you thought. Follow me on Instagram to get live updates on what I get up to in my everyday life. Thanks as ever for your support, and I'll see you next Friday for another video. Bye!